Okay then, I'm gonna hit something that I probably should have done quite a while ago, which is the wonderful world of Bezier curves. I'm gonna add one here, so if I just pop in, it doesn't look very impressive, it's just this kind of thin hair. Honestly, you're probably thinking, what's so special about this thing? What does it actually do? Well, let me show you something really useful. Basically, student said to me, I don't like making wires. They don't look good. They don't look right, and that's because they were using cylinders. Now that's my fault. I hadn't got around to teaching this trick. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to show you what a Bezier curve is and how we can use it to create something like a wire laying down. So what we're going to do is head into tab and just going to have a nice look at this. You can see here we've got a little vertex. If I'm going to put myself into 7 view so that I can see G and move it around, you can see the curve kind of tightens up and stretches out based upon where you end this. You can also move these with G as well. These are kind of like controlling the tightness of the curve. If you've ever dealt with anything that's curved in things like Adobe Illustrator or anything like that, they work in a very similar fashion. Not the easiest thing to get used to using, but once you get used to them, they're actually quite cool. You can even press E to extrude them outwards to add more vertices into them, rotate them around, and so on. Right, I'm just going to try and shape this a bit more like maybe a wire could be if it's slightly organized but not well organized. So if I rotate a bit, move it around a bit, okay, pull this one this way, there we go, and I've got a bit of a wire laying out now. Okay, so now that I've got my wire roughly laid out how I want it, I can basically then head back into object mode or press the tab key and head down here and have a look at my data. Click into my data, and this data has some quite useful features. In particular, we're going to focus down here on geometry for now. There's a few other things you can do, but I'm just interested in creating a wire-based shape and just keeping it that simple. So what we do is we actually play around with these settings here. So we've got under geometry, we've got things like extrude. Extrude basically runs and makes it just flat, so a very long flat surface. That's useful if you're doing, like, say, streams of paper, something like that, or like a ballet dancer's ribbon, or something like ornate coming off a piece of clothing. However, we've also got beveling options down here. The beveling options are great because if you do your depth here, what it does is when you increase it, it naturally, you see, creates a tube running all the way along it. And it's basically like putting a sleeve over it. You can see it's a bit rough and not perfectly smooth, but hey, that can be fixed by increasing the resolution, and it creates a smoother. Just remember, think about your the quality of your build. So basically, if you need to reduce the number of polys, you don't need it that sharp, go for a few less. If you're going for sort of print quality, 3D print quality, increase the resolution to get a smoother curve going. I won't go into the fact that you can also use an object in this video because obviously my intention is to just show you how to create a wire. And there we go, we now have a nice little wire. If we want to cap it, we can do, so we can fill the caps, but I don't want to actually fill the caps on this one, but it's just to show you that that is an option. Right, once you've done that, you've now got yourself something that is roughly, kind of a wire at this point. The only thing is, it's kind of still a Bezier curve. So if I go back into tab, you can see it's got the curves built into it and the vertices. Good thing is while it's like this, I can still reshape it change things if I want to. If I'm not happy, 100% happy with the shape of it or the positioning of it, I can still kind of move all that around, and just make things perfect. Okay, however, what I can do is once I'm happy and I'm like, okay, that is the shape that I'm going for, I don't really see a point in changing anything else about it. Head up to Object, Apply, and let's apply visual geometry to objects. Now what it does is it takes that curve that we've created and it creates a copy of it as well. If I hide that, you can see we've got two versions of it. So we've got a kind of ghost version of it here, and we got this one too. If I press tab now into this, you can see it's still got all the Bezier curve going on. If I swap them over and go into this one, we actually have a real mesh now. So we've actually got a proper mesh that we can play around with and manipulate. We can do anything to this that we can do with any other mesh. I'm just going to pop a loop cut in there. I'm going to face select, and I'm going to select all of that. And then I'm just going to make sure that I'm extruding along normals. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull that outwards. And the reason I'm pulling that outwards is because I just want it to look like a connector. So if you can imagine now we've got our kind of connector where it's going in, and you can build like things that look like a port on this end for your wiring. You can do the same on this end if you want. Again, just play around with it a bit. And do the old extrude again, just to kind of pop it out. And again, there we go. We've got ourselves a couple of little plug-in points for this wiring. Again, you can imagine you can make a lot of different things out of this. You can potentially make like piping. So, you know, a lot of piping is quite rubberized, but you also might get solid metal ones. It's just about making sure that you place these things so they look right. Following on from that, once you've kind of got that layout correct and you're happy with it, you can also add modifiers, so potentially solidify them if you need to. Ooh, helps if I could find my solidify. There we go. So if you want to thicken them out a bit on the insides to make them look more real, you can do that. You can basically apply any other kind of options once it's a mesh. And the good thing is, if you've done it right, your original model is kind of still there in the background, and you can, you know, if you've looked at it and gone, oh, it doesn't really work, or if you want to kind of make multiple wires, you've got that one in the background, you can just keep applying the mesh to the object constantly and creating more and more wires. And that's just basically one of the cool little features of a Bezier curve, and I'll go into different videos about other fun things we can do with them, and different types of actual curve-based objects, because there's a few other actual curve-based objects that do some pretty cool stuff. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video.